everyone, and I want to say welcome to the Francis Patton Primary School Open House for 2022. Just want to go over some of the ground rules for tonight's open house. We're asking that we keep all cameras on at all times, that we have our full names displayed. We keep our mics muted during the presentation. You can feel free to ask questions using the chat function. And we did thank you for those parents who were able to submit questions prior to this. So we were able to curtail this evening's presentation to be able to answer most, if not all, of your questions that you did submit prior to this. So thank you for that. This meeting is being recorded for safety and security reasons, as well as going to be uploaded onto Bermuda Public Schools YouTube channel for anyone who was not able to make this evening's meeting. So I want to say thank you and welcome. So I'll just start the slideshow. So officially, I want to say welcome future parents of excellence to the best school in the universe, Francis Patton Primary School. Special good evening to all of our staff members you'll get a chance to see and meet later on during the open house presentation. So again, welcome to the best school in the universe. This year's theme at Francis Patton Primary School is Leadership Through Resilience, which we think is really timely this year, especially with going through the COVID-19 pandemic. And we're teaching children this year, as well as learning how to demonstrate resilience through what is really tough times. Our mission statement at Francis Patton Primary School is that at Francis Patton Primary School, we develop leaders one child at a time. Our school vision statement is we live by striving for excellence. We learn by working hard in school and always doing our best. We love by caring for all people, places, things, and situations. And we leave a legacy by sharing our ideas and school with others. Our school motto is live, learn, love. And our theme at Francis Patton Primary School is leadership. So just want to introduce you to a few of our members of staff of excellence here at Francis Patton Primary School. I am the lucky principal, Mr. Todd Fox. Good evening. I'm the principal of Francis Patton Primary School. I look forward to finally meeting everyone in person when things are a little bit more normal. Our acting deputy principal is Ms. Parfit. Good evening, Ms. Parfit. Give us a wave. Our school counselor is Mrs. Warren. Good evening to Mrs. Warren. Our educational therapist is Mr. Steed, and our administrative assistant is Mrs. Steed. Some of you may have already spoken to her on the phone or popped her an email or two. And of course, our primary one teachers give us a wave, Miss Swan in primary one, as well as Mrs. Cunningham. Good evening. You'll hear from them in a few minutes as well. So welcome and thank you, staff, for joining us. Our encore team and specialist teachers are Ms. Sharp, who teaches art and physical education. Mr. Smith, I believe, is on with us this evening. Good evening, Mr. Smith, who teaches health and PE. Mr. Bean is our music teacher. Mrs. Todd is our learning support teacher. And Ms. Ming, good evening, Ms. Ming has joined us as well, is our reading specialist. So as we get into it, it's not a little bit about what we expect from our teachers, and what you can expect from our teachers is that we support the leader in me and student leadership, honest and respectful communication, fairness and confidentiality. We put safety first and getting to know your child. We believe strongly here at Francis Patton Primary School in building relationships, getting to know your children on a really deep understanding level. Our student expectations, so right from day one, when your little P1s come join the family, that they're gonna learn and practice the 7 habits on a daily basis. When it comes to their classwork, we just always want them to give their best effort. Comes to homework, we just want them to try their best to complete all assigned homework to the best of their ability. If they find something hard, as long as they gave it that little college try, we'll work with them. And be an active learner. We want our students to be active participants in their learning. And the mantra that we go by here at Francis Patton Primary School is that a leader does the right thing even when no one is looking. And that's something your kids will come home and start talking to you about as well. Parent expectations. So parents, what are we expecting from you as future parents of excellence at Francis Patton Primary School? We're expecting that you take advantage of opportunities to learn about the school and what we do each and every day here. We're expecting that you read what comes in from school as well as emails and respond in a timely manner. We're expecting that you monitor your child's attendance. The Ministry of Education's goal is at 95%, and please ensure that your children get to school on time. Now, Mr. Fox, a few years ago would have said, listen, your child has a little tummy ache or a headache, please send them to school, we need them. But now, of course, in COVID, things are a lot different. So now if your child is displaying any sort of symptoms, and we're not saying that it is COVID, but if they do have a headache, if they do have a cold, now the protocol and procedures that you do keep them home, okay? That's a bit of a change. We also want you to support your child's learning at home. Make an appointment if you need to see the teacher or myself. And of course, we are expecting our parents to practice and encourage the 7 habits at home. And parents, we do send homework each month for parents to engage in around the 7 habits. Francis Patton Primary School is a Leader in Me school. In fact, we are Bermuda's only Leader in Me school. And some of the things that students are taught is that everyone can be a leader. Students learn that leadership is not meant for the few, for just the 1 or 2, that every single one of them can be a leader. We also teach them that everyone has genius, that there's not just 1 or 2 students in the class who are really, really bright and all of us are just okay. Everyone has genius. We also teach them that change starts with me. I don't have to wait for the system to change or for Bermuda to change or Francis Patton Primary School to change. I can make positive change myself. Our teachers empower students to lead their own learning, to have them not be passive learners and wait for the teachers to tell them everything. If they want to learn things, that we're encouraging them to go out and empower themselves to deepen their own learning of things that they're interested in. And of course, developing the whole person. Some of the special events and highlights of Francis Patton Primary School is that this year we turned 71 years old. So we celebrated through Founders Day. We have an annual career day, term goal assemblies, where students create with their teacher a goal, an academic goal that they want to talk about and they want to journal and journey along with, and they track their data. And then at the end of each term, we celebrate if they achieve those goals. We also have an annual Christmas production. We have one this year despite the COVID pandemic. So thank you to staff, and we'll have that up on YouTube soon so everyone will be able to see it. We also have field trips. So Ms. Swan and Ms. Cunningham are huge advocates of field trips, and you'll notice that I have phase 3 and phase 4 in COVID-19 school protocols. So right now, today, schools are in phase 2, but when we get to phase 3 and phase 4, praying that our COVID numbers dip and we come out of this spike relatively unscathed, that we can get back into phase 3 and our P1s can get onto some field trips, because I know that Ms. Swan and Ms. Cunningham are chomping at the bit to get our kids out and do some experiential learning. We also engage in Community Service Day and Leadership Day. And you'll learn more about this as we come along, as you journal along with us. We also have a Christmas Hamper program. It's always a huge success. We had to, this year, had to call, we had to call Marketplace back because kids kept bringing things in. There's so many things to donate, and we had to call Marketplace back. Come back, we have more things. So that's one thing that's a really successful event here. The P1s in the past have had a leadership garden, and they ensured that Mr. Fox had a healthy lunch, because we'd actually take the fruits and vegetables they grew, turned it into a salad, part of science unit, and we had lunch together, which was really awesome. So they ate their vegetables, parents. We also celebrate Think Pink Week. Some of the things we do is Accessory Day, Think Pink Lunch, Wear Pink Day, made different things on the field. We go for the walk for the cure. And again, you see the Pink Socks Day there. So lots of things happen at Francis Patton Primary School despite us being in COVID-19. We also have random acts of kindness weekends here. So we have one coming up in February. We already had one in October, where kids go in the community as long as it's safe and do random acts of kindness. We also have what's called the Longtail Plunge at what we've adopted as our Francis Patton Primary School dock, where once a year for a fundraising venture, we, like the crazy staff that we are and parents, we jump overboard in that freezing cold water, but it ends up being a really, really fun event. And again, we make sure we do follow the COVID-19 health and safety protocols. So that's always a fun event that will be coming up in February. And parents, our new parents vaccines, you are more than welcome to join in with that. We also have student-led assemblies. So tomorrow, as a matter of fact, the primary fives will engage in their student-led assembly tomorrow morning. Some other important information I want to share is that we always follow our Francis Patton Primary School systems for success, and you'll get more information about that. Our dress code is always be in school uniform. We'll talk a little about the school uniform in a few minutes because primary ones have a special uniform that we come to school every day as long as we're feeling good and be on time. And a little bit about the uniform. So primary ones, you may notice, may not have noticed that Francis Patton Primary School primary ones have a slightly different uniform. And we started that this year, just in conversation with Ms. Swan and Ms. Cunningham, because even though parents, they look cute in their ties and their shirts, it's just not feasible for our primary ones. Parents in the afternoon, the parents pick up and say, why do you look like that? What's wrong with your tie? Why is your shirt out? It's just not comfortable for them. And because Mrs. Cunningham and Ms. Swan have such active and engaging lessons, the shirts out. So what we've done this year, and we found it to be really successful, is they wear blue shorts or trousers, a belt black or brown, and a red Francis Patton Primary School polo shirt. And we'll give you details about that. They wear a vest when it gets cold. It could be a navy vest or a V-neck. They can also wear a solid blue jacket. And parents, we ask that they wear solid black shoes or sneakers. So we do allow sneakers in primary one because they go out and about all the time. We want our kids to be comfortable. So that is a difference. You'll also notice that there is no winter or summer uniform. There's one solid uniform here at Francis Patton Primary School, and that is it. We have a nutrition policy at Francis Patton Primary School. What we do is encourage low sugar meals and water only healthy lunches each and every day, as well as having them be trash-free lunches. A little bit about the entrance protocols, and just want you to notice a bit at the bottom is that protocols are subject to change. So a regular drop-off begins at 8:30. Parents and adults who are dropping off are to park the vehicles and escort their children through the main entrance gate. Parents are to remain while a staff member takes your child's temperature. If the child's temperature is at or above 38 degrees Celsius or 100.4 Fahrenheit, they appear unwell or they say they don't feel well, then we will have to send the student back home with their parent. And any student arriving after 8:45 must call the number that you see there, 478-3327, and a staff member will come out to receive your child. So that's why a really big one time, because right at 8:45, Ms. Swan and Mrs. Cunningham are getting those lessons going. So if they're coming after that, they will be missing part of their educational journey for that day. A little bit about the next steps in the registration process. Registration for primary school begins this Friday, January 14th, and it ends on Friday, February the 4th. By Wednesday, March 23rd, you have received your acceptance or non-acceptance letters. Parents have until Monday, March 28th, 2022 to accept or decline your entrance into the school of your choosing. And then if you have, for more information, you can email jaeve@gov.bm. We're gonna ask one of my staff members to put that email address in the chat for us. So it's jaeve@gov.bm if you have any further questions regarding the registration process, okay? And of course, this year we are engaging in leadership through resilience. And for any more information, because we have a ton of information, Mr. Fox could keep you here for 2 hours, and I know that's not what we're looking for, parents. So for more information about Francis Patton Primary School, I'm encouraging you to go to our website, which is www.moed.bm/FP. Or if you go into the main Ministry of Education's website, you'll see schools, scroll down, and you'll find Francis Patton Primary School. And administrative assistant, Mr. Steve, tries the best to update as much as possible with tons of pictures, so you have a real gauge as to what we're doing here at Francis Patton Primary School. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our primary one teachers of excellence. So special good evening to both Ms. Swan and Mrs. Cunningham. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? I'm actually looking at some of the faces and the names, and they do look familiar because as you know, we are actually just recently we relocated down into the Lyceum building. So I do see some of you walking your little pumpkins there. So I'm quite excited to see that that you have taken an interest in Francis Patton. So I'm actually just gonna briefly just share some of the exciting things that we're doing, and then Ms. Cunningham will also share some insight as well. So just a little bit about me. I have been at Francis Patton. This is going on my 8th year, and for the past 4 years, I think 4 or 5 years, I've actually been teaching in primary one. One of the things that I have loved about teaching this year level is to see just the progression of learning as students and how they continue on from coming from preschool and just the knowledge that they have, but to see them grow. It's just so, I guess it's exciting, really. I enjoy this level because, you know, also they're also excited to learn. So this is the age where you get them and they're fresh and they're like, everything is an adventure. So certainly we always want to encourage and inspire that, especially at this age. One of the things that I am enjoying as well, being down in Lyceum, especially with having to, we've recently been piloting creative curriculum, which is another part of just our day and how we've been engaging with our little ones is we get to liaise with a great group of educators who can also help us with those experiences that we do. So we love field trips. We love hands-on experiences. We love even just getting outside. So when we can, we are outside, and we're very grateful, very thankful that our school is located next to the trail, which ultimately becomes the best field trip ever, honestly, because we get to walk out and we're there. Yes, Miss Miners, good evening. It's so true. We get to just walk out on in particular, our Fridays are those discovery days. We get to go out on the trail, have those discoveries, allow our kids to really explore and really deepen their understanding in such a rich and meaningful way. And I always say, you know, it's great that we do teach our children, you know, how to read, how to write, how to become mathematicians. But there's something about when children can experience and have rich experiences around it, they'll never forget it. So there's no sense me teaching about writing when you have never experienced what you're about to write. So we go on these adventures. Last year, when you know, when the restrictions kind of listed for my crew that are now in P2, we actually did a whole adventure day where we spent the day in dockyards. So these are experiences we are hoping to have again, especially for our ones now, but definitely when your child comes. We love also just the opportunities that we get as teachers to be able to just do things like through theme-based learning. So we're just finishing up the grocery store study. We're getting ready to go into the seed study, and like I'm blown away excited because so my degree is in science. I love gardens. So the garden that you saw in the picture was the garden that was the first group of students that I'd started that garden with. And it was just like awesome to see how they started something from seed, saw how it grew. And so again, it's like, what, you know, what better way to learn than to actually do it, have that hands-on experience. So that is the next study. So themes are what we do, and it helps us with just learning things deeper through reading, through writing, through math. So we're counting seeds, we're measuring seeds, we're measuring growth. That will be what's coming up. We're also looking at where they come from. So yes, just yesterday, was it, Miss Cunningham?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, in preparation for this study, just to give you a little taste of what we do in P1, I was up a tree trying to pick fruit just so that we can show them where fruit comes from. And so there were some Bermuda oranges that we have kind of bordering the playground. And one of the kids are like, "This is the best movie ever." And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, just don't fall." Because
Yeah.
that's a thing, right? But yeah, just to give you that just taste of things that we do. We have adventures. We love what we do. But I can assure you that little boy who said that was the best movie ever will not forget that oranges do come from trees and not from marketplace. So all right, I'm gonna stop there. Miss Cunningham, you can take it away.
Okay, good evening, parents. Like Miss Swan, very excited to be teaching this age group. Just a brief background about me. This is actually my second year with Francis Patton. I started out subbing in P2 with them. And I thought, oh, well, I'll just do it for a little bit. But they are such an awesome staff that when the opportunity arose, I was very happy to continue on with them, especially in P1. P1 has always been my first love. I got my teacher training in Scotland years and years ago. I won't tell you how many, but I ended up in private school for 7 years. I decided I wanted to sort of branch out on my own and ended up doing my own nursery school. So I do have that hybrid of, coming from nursery and going into P1. What we are doing now, as Ms. Swan did mention, we are doing the creative curriculum, which is a fantastic program that allows your little ones to really engage, as Ms. Swan was talking about, with their learning. We have learning stations in the classroom. So no, parents, it's not desks and rows and they're facing a blackboard or smartboard and, eyes glued to the teacher. They are up, they are around. We have interesting flexible seating. We have all different learning stations. There's a discovery area, there's an arts area. Our classrooms got turned into grocery stores when we were doing the grocery store area. We're just now sort of tidying that up and finishing it off. And I have to say the kids thoroughly love it. They are so engaged, the things they come up with. I mean, yes, we do teach them new vocabulary and we're learning how to write and all that good stuff that goes with it. But they are truly excited by, learning what a receipt is to go to the grocery store. And it's amazing what they already know, but then we can deepen that knowledge. As Ms. Swan said, we are always out and about. If it's a nice sunny afternoon and we do not have encore staff, as Mr. Fox was talking about, we will go outside and do bike days and bike afternoons, or go on the trail and go over the bridges and look at the fish and count the fish. And so they do get those real life activities and situations, which then carry over into your home, where we are partners with you, because at the end of the day, you are their first teachers. And one of the nice things with the curriculum that we are using now is there's a great homeschool connection. So you are aware of what we are doing. We do ask you guys to continue stuff on, especially if we have to go remote, which nobody likes. But it was really good this year when we did have to go remote, because the parents were really engaged and could see what their kids knew, what their kids were learning, and just have fun and see that it doesn't always have to be that traditional style of you're sitting in a desk with a pen and pencil. And some kids are ready for that, some kids are not ready for that. And the way we are in P1, we take your little ones as they come to us and we progress them on from there. And that is one of the most exciting things to see and be engaged in. And I have to say, as a P1 teacher, there's never a dull day. There's never a day that you come to work and think, oh, can't wait for the day to end. The day is so fast, the day goes by so quickly, and the little pumpkins we have always make us laugh, always give us something to have a little chuckle about. And we are just so honored to progress them to where they need to be. So it's good to see all of you guys tonight. I hope you do pick Francis Patton. It is the best school in the universe. And can't wait to see your little ones if they come in September. Back to you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you both, Mrs. Cunningham and Ms. Swan, and parents. I hope that you feel really good about what you heard from our primary one teachers, because it is no 2 days alike down at primary one. And that's actually a good thing for your kids. I want to introduce you to our school counselor, Mrs. Warren, and then our PE health teacher, Mr. Smith. So good evening to Mrs. Warren, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everyone's faces. I know most of them, or I see them when you're coming in for Lyceum. I am actually split between Lyceum and Francis Patton. I am at Lyceum Thursday mornings, and the rest of the week I am at Francis Patton. One takeaway I would like for you parents to please assist me with. I do meet with every P1 parent. And the reason for the meeting is just to gauge or get information on your little ones to support them at Francis Patton. Sometimes it is a bit challenging when I have to make contact with people and people's numbers are not working, or they don't keep appointments. So what I'm asking, guys, is when I do make contact with you, if you can please, I would like to knock these meetings out in September. So if you can please, ensure numbers are working and keep to appointments, that will assist me greatly. Part of my role is also to do classroom guidance. So I will meet with your little ones and we just talk about little topics like being safe, um, appropriate behaviors and things like that. Nothing too heavy for them. A lot of coloring as well, or reading books. And then the other part of my role is to, respond to any needs that you may have. So if there's a concern you may have regarding your child's social emotional needs and you would like to make contact with me, please feel free to send me an email. I'm sure we'll be able to post emails mwarren1@moed.bm, or you can always call the school and leave me a message and I'll get back with you.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren. I'll turn it over to Mr. Smith, our health and PE teacher. Good evening, Mr. Smith.
Good evening, parents. Good evening, Mr. Fox. Good evening, staff. Nice to see everyone. Well, right now, unfortunately, I'm home on quarantine, but Mr. Fox knows how to make lemons into lemonade. So what I've been doing is teaching from home and doing remote learning and catering to the students that are at home like me. Today, just gonna briefly talk to you about what I do with your children in gym class and in health class. So in gym, I focus on locomotor movements and skills, skipping, hopping, galloping, walking, running, just basic movements from point A to point B. Then I focus on combining the movements together as we get through the year. So they might do like a hopscotch or like obstacle courses, things of that nature, try to keep it fun. And also, we slowly start to get into health and nutrition and how it impacts physical activity. So like a bag of chips won't give you much energy. You're gonna be able to run for about a minute hard on a bag of chips. But if you eat a sweet potato or beet, you could probably run all the way around the field about 5-6 times, all right? So things like that. And I try to keep it fun because that age group, you have to come down to you have to imagine and create things that they relate to. So we try to use the animation and the cartoons that either they're watching or they're engaged in at home on that little tablet. A lot of them love the tablets. And in health, I focus on self-awareness, healthy self-concepts. So I have a lesson called I Love My Hair. The girls love that lesson. And we talk about how we love our hair and we sing a little song. And they say, oh, Mr. Smith, we like hair too. So I try to relate to everyone, boys and girls. And self-management, Ms. Sharp's probably the best at that. She just deals with that self-discipline factor. So they get the best of both worlds because sometimes I kind of get a little fun sometimes, and Ms. Sharp brings them back and makes sure, hey, not at Francis Patton, not at the best school in the universe. And that's the self-discipline part. And Ms. Sharp and I both do really, really good at self-motivation. So we learn to reach the child and get them aware that everyone isn't going to be the best athlete, but we all can improve. So there's always room for improvement. And last but not least, we learn to synergize, all right? And at Francis Patton, as like I said, Mr. Fox has a great way of synergizing with his staff. So we all show up for the call of duty and we're always willing to go beyond that. All right, Mr. Fox, back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And of course, you may recognize Mr. Smith as one of Bermuda's champion runners, and he doesn't like us mentioning that because he's a very humble person. But I know parents get very excited. Is that the gentleman who wins all of these races? And we're like, yes, that is our PE teacher. So Mr. Smith, I expect a few emails to say we want to train up Bermuda's next generation of runners. So parents, just before we close out this evening, I want to make sure they touch on a few questions that parents have had and submitted prior. So I had a question on school closures. At this point, I cannot answer anything about school closures. We have not been informed around school closures. The only thing I can tell you is that the last mention of school closures, that Francis Patton Primary School, being the only school in Hamilton Parish, would be the parish primary school under that discussion point. There was also a question around class sizes. This year we have class sizes of 12 and 11. Again, I can't answer what the class sizes will be for next school year because all of that will be dependent on the school enrollment. There was a question around the PTA. We have an excellent PTA who synergize very well. So habit number 6, we synergize very well for our PTA. Our PTA is very strong. So you see all of the events that we talked about. That is one and done with the support of the Parent Teacher Student Association here at Francis Patton Primary School. So we do meet monthly, and a big part of what I like to put under my leadership and our school's leadership is that we don't like for our PTA to solely function as a fundraising committee. We want to go out there and show what Leader in Me is all about, what the 7 Habits is all about, and just do some education and how we can support Hamilton Parish community, how we can support the Bermuda community. So I don't want you to think that if I join the PTA, all we're gonna do is fundraising. That is definitely not what we do. We do some fundraising, not gonna say that we don't, but that's not the sole function of our PTA. It's about educating, it's about supporting the school. And Mr. Fox, Mr. Smith, Ms. Swoon, what do we need at the school? Here's what we can do in building those positive relationships. There was some question about the COVID protocol. So I can tell you that we do get weekly inspections from the Department of Health to ensure that we are following all health and safety protocols, and we do pass our health and safety inspection every month. They do not call us in advance. They do random pop-ins just to make sure that all protocols are being followed. I can tell you that all health and safety protocols are directly from the Department of Health. So Francis Patton Primary School does not have its own health and safety protocols. All schools are to follow the exact same health and safety protocols, which are meted out by the Department of Health regarding that. There were some questions about classes. So primary ones engaged spend the majority of the day with Mrs. Connie and Ms. Swoon, but they do classes. They do music class. They also do health class. Mr. Smith talked about PE as well as art. There is no foreign language classes or other sorts of language classes. There have been discussions around the introduction of foreign language classes at some point in the Bermuda public school system, but I don't want to make that promise this evening, parents. If we do launch things like that, we will make sure that we inform you of that. And finally, there was a question about an anti-bullying initiative. And at Francis Patton Primary School, we try our best not to use the B word. So what we do instead is we promote acts of kindness. So what I learned as a principal, we learned as a school is that when we used to have anti-bullying month, we found that quote unquote bullying escalated. So when a child, everything was reported as bullying. And we said, okay, well, that's not quite bullying. We figured that we wanted to do something a little bit different. So what we do now is kindness month, and we teach replacement behaviors. We teach students how to be kind as opposed to how to react to certain situations, how to be nice and kind to one another. Of course, if we're creating kind, beautiful, wonderful children here, we synergize them with you, they're going to go and take those lessons and become these beautiful, wonderful, kind adults. So we have a spin on the anti-bullying. But I do want to let you know that if we have students who are misbehaving, we do handle these things. And that's part of the honest and open communication I talked about in the PowerPoint, that if your child is doing something that is untoward, we will reach out and give you a call. We're not going to call you every single time. So we do like to handle things on campus, but if we find that there are some concerning behaviors, we will reach out to you, okay? And that comes as well when we talk about the confidentiality. So we're never going to talk to you parents about another child. So you may be calling with concerns about a certain child, but we're not going to really engage in that conversation. You can share that you have some concerns, but we're not going to engage in a conversation with parents about that other child. We will only talk to you about your child, and please be ensured that we will not talk about your child to another set of parents as well. So that's part of the confidentiality. So just before we close, I just want to look for my staff, see if there's anything else we want to touch base on. I will, parents, put my email address if you have any questions, because I know sometimes that parents, may not wish to ask questions in open form. So I will put my email address. So I did see, does Francis Patton Primary School offer music class? Yes, they do general music class, and our music teacher is Mr. Bean. So yes, they do music once a week at Francis Patton Primary School. And parents, once again, I'm going to put my email address in the chat just in case you would like to ask a question of me. Something may pop in, and I would expect a few emails tomorrow because something may occur to your question you may have that you may not be thinking of now, which is okay. So I'll put that there. And without further ado, I want to say thank you, parents, for joining our Francis Patton Primary School. I see a question. What access to IT do they have in primary one? Ms. Swan, did you want to answer that question about the IT or technology in primary one?
Ms. Miners, it is the same access that they have at this present moment. With the addition of a smart board, yes, but at the present, the technology access has not changed, as in at present, they do not have laptops or iPads or tablets.
Ms.
And
Martis,
that's actually across the board for all schools. So that's not just Francis Patton, system-wide. And I believe even our sister school across the water at Harrington Sound is the same. But I do want to say to the parents, because I do see a lot of familiar faces. We're in the building, so please, if you see us, either bringing your children in or picking up your children, please do not hesitate to just stop us, ask us questions. Hopefully, as best as we can, we'll try and answer them. If not, we will certainly forward it on to Mr. Fox. We try to be as open and transparent as we possibly can, and just try to be, as accommodating, in terms of questions that you might have or concerns. For those of you who are in Lyceum, as you know, Mrs. Brown is fantastic with being able to just even initiate certain conversations. Should you have any concerns at all or any questions, we just have such a rich rapport with one another. Collegial excellence we do operate in. So if there's anything at all, please feel free just to send us, stop us, as we're heading in the building or things like that, because we want to be able to support your journey. And I think that it's great that I do know or have seen many of your faces. So I think why not just, stop us if you see us.
Hi, good evening. How are you both today?
Good evening.
My name is Chelsea, and unfortunately, I didn't get the email for the information tonight, so I was forwarded it, which is why I came in so late. I don't know if you guys did a pre-recorded presentation. I know I was on a different call earlier this week, and the school had a pre-recorded presentation. I don't know if you have one of those and you would be willing to just replay it for those of us parents who may have just been tuning in before you close out, just so that I can get the information from the school. Was there one available or no?
Good evening. Hi, no, there was not one pre-recorded, but this meeting itself is actually being recorded and will be available on the Ministry of Education social media channel. So we did make sure that we started recording this actual meeting prior to it starting. So I hope that was answering for you. Sorry about you.
Yes, that does.
Okay.
Thank you. And do you know approximately how long it takes for the information to get up on their website? Like, would it be there tomorrow? Would I have to wait till next week? Do you know approximately?
They did not tell us how long it would take, but I know tomorrow we'll send this recording to them tomorrow. So I think what they're going to do is wait for every school to have the open house, which I think tonight may be the last of primary schools. And then I want to assume that'll be next week sometime, but I don't want you to hold me to that because they didn't give us a date as to when, but I'm sure it has to be soon because registration will open up starting tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Fox. I appreciate your response.
No problem. So parents, without further ado, I'm going to wish you a wonderful evening. I will stay behind personally for a few extra minutes just in case anyone has any burning questions. And if not, I just want to say thank you for joining us this evening. And we can't wait to welcome you to the best school in the universe, Francis Patton Primary School. So have a good night, and staff. Thank you so much for joining us as well. Take care, everyone.